Welcome to the Hornets Hivecast, presented by Charlotte Eye, Ear, Nose, and Throat Associates, the official eye, ear, nose, and throat care provider of the Charlotte Hornets. Here's your host, Sam Farber.
Now let's welcome the new head coach of the Charlotte Hornets, Charles Lee, to the Hornets Hivecast for the first time. Coach, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Sam.
How does it feel to finally be the head coach of not just any NBA team, but the Charlotte Hornets?
It feels so amazing. Obviously, that playoff run was a lot of fun, and I'm so thankful to Boston for allowing me to have a couple moments to drop in and out of Charlotte in between series, but it's nice to be here full-time now.
Let's start things off with what kind of coach you are. For fans that want to get to know you. In other sports, sometimes it's easier to know. If you're in baseball and you were a catcher or the pitching coach, it's kind of easy to know where their expertise was, or football, offensive, defensive coordinator. Basketball, it's not always clear what the expertise of the coach. So how would you describe your style and your focus as you take on this new role?
Yeah, well, one of the things I think I tried to really highlight about myself during the interview process was that the Hornets were going to get the best well-rounded coach that they possibly could on the market. I think somebody that's been around a lot of winning at every level, and so understands what are the ingredients that go into having sustained success. And then I think the other parts of my player development background, there's a real passion there for just maximizing players' skills and abilities and taking a holistic view, understanding that it's not only the stuff that they're doing on the court, but also the weight room, the nutrition, and the community stuff that they're going to tie themselves to the Carolinas in. And lastly, the ability to build relationships and hold people accountable. And I think that through these relationships, these guys are going to feel a genuineness about me, where I want to see them just be the best people, the best basketball players they can be, while also trying to win some games at a high level.
We're excited to see you get started here, and it starts fast. The draft already happening this week, and then before you know it, Summer League, which you've committed, from what I understand, to coaching. Why was that important for you to get your hands on players and immediately dive in after just wrapping up a playoff run?
Yeah, it was important to me if I want to create this culture of work, that I'm coming off of, going through a long playoff run, but I'm ready to get to work. And so it starts with leadership, I think, all the time. So if your leaders live a certain way, it starts to trickle down to everybody in the organization. So it was really important for me to be able to connect with the players. They get to hear my voice, understand terminology, and just start to build that foundation for, like I said, being obsessed with just daily improvement and hard work.
Charles Lee, the new head coach of the Charlotte Hornets, our guest today here on the Hornets Hivecast. Your basketball journey, it's a special one. They're all unique, but yours has some real highlights. You played professionally overseas. You were part of the golden era of Bucknell basketball, their NCAA tournament wins. What was one of your foundational basketball memories coming up as a player or a coach?
Yeah, I would just say winning at every level, but seeing what goes into winning at every level. So like you brought up Bucknell, and seeing coming in that this wasn't, a mid-major powerhouse by any stretch of the imagination. And I had a part in helping build that into something where now you're winning NCAA tournament games. Now you're getting scholarships and able to go out and get a different caliber player because your footprint in college basketball is different. And I would say the same thing was for overseas. Going to a mid-level German team and helping see that team all of a sudden advance into the Euro Challenge, and again, playing a part in helping to build that up. And then over the last 10 years, I've got to work with some phenomenal organizations, some great players, some two head coaches in Mike Budenholzer and Joe Mazzulla, but also the assistants. Like, when you think of Darvin Ham and Kenny Atkinson, who just got a job, and Taylor Jenkins, and I can go on and on and on. But I've gotten to learn from those people of how to now build an NBA team, a culture, a franchise into a champion.
You were, as we said, a great player, and then you go into the coaching ranks. Was there any inspiration, a particular coach you had, or one that maybe you worked under, that you would like to emulate now as you step into the head role?
Oh, there's so many. I would say, like, from being a player and getting to work under, or getting coached by Coach Popovich during training camp, getting to get coached by Coach Bud, and Coach Brown was on that staff, going overseas, seeing a lot of those guys. So I would not say there's one coach that I want to emulate. I think the biggest things that I want to do is just be able to build a culture, and build a culture that's so focused on like daily improvement, competitiveness, and togetherness.
that winning ingredient that you talked about, everyone wants to do it, and there's a certain element of luck, I suppose, in terms of avoiding injuries and things like that, but winning seems to follow you wherever you go, and as you mentioned, it's not always going to the most powerful program at any particular level, but turning all of them into it. What's that secret sauce, that ingredient that you've been able to find and tap into and will bring here to Charlotte?
Yeah, I would just say that you can't skip steps. And so for us, yes, we want to win. Yes, we want to hopefully eventually be one of the last teams standing down the road. But we can't skip any steps of how we're going to get there. And I think that there does need to be some luck along the way, but you create your own luck. And so everything that you do every day to help build up, it's going to put us in the best position. So we can't be focused too much on like the big picture. It's all those small things that are going to help us kind of build up into that bigger picture and have sustained success.
Winning followed you into the coaching ranks, and you've been one of the most successful assistants in the NBA for quite some time and have been in several of these head coaching searches. At what point were you convinced that you had what it took to be a head coach? I'm sure it was before you got the call here from the Hornets, but when did it sink into you that this was a job you could do?
I would just say over time. I'm very thankful, again, I can't mention enough how much of like an opportunity Coach Bud gave me, Coach Joe Mazzulla gave me, but learning under those assistants too. So like you get to watch two championship caliber coaches and learn from all these assistant coaches. And when I finally got an opportunity to work my way up in the player development ranks, and you start out working with a lot of the rookies and the guys at that point that were in the G League, and year by year you got more responsibility. Your voice grew. You started doing drills. Now all of a sudden you're working with Giannis and you're working with Chris Middleton, and I just think that when those caliber players, from being upper echelon, all-star caliber players are now trusting you with their career, and you've built these strong relationships, and your knowledge of the game has grown from all the film you've watched and all the scouting reports you've done. I think at that point I was like, okay, I think that we can do this.
You're now the guy putting together your own staff, and they're coming from all over the NBA, different levels of experience. Is there a through line, something you were looking for, a commonality amongst your assistants that you're bringing here from everywhere now to Charlotte?
Yeah, Jeff mentioned just the importance of people. And so the first and foremost thing that I was looking for were good people. I think high character, quality human beings where it was going to be exciting to go to work with them every day. Because as you know, the season brings about a lot of ups and downs, and I don't want to ride that roller coaster. I want to be surrounded by people that I think that can be even kill. And we're going to continue to push each other and enjoy every bit of the process. And then the other part was just getting guys that they're going to teach the game. We have a young team. We have a talented team. But they need to understand what are the little subtleties of the game that we need on both ends of the court, and how are we going to help them grow with also the alignment of what does the team need to. So individual maximization is important, but it also needs to be in collaboration with the team goals too.
You've now got 2 championships under your belt as an assistant coach. You take over a team that's had some struggles in terms of making the playoffs, but does have a lot of talent on it. As you evaluate the roster, what do you see for you to work with here on the roster for the Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah, I see a group that is just really hungry. And so when you get a talented group of individuals, a hungry group of individuals, and I think a coaching staff and a front office and an ownership group that's really aligned to make sure they have every resource they can to maximize their potential, it's pretty exciting about what can all of a sudden be opened.
And the last one for you, the fan base is very hungry as well to experience some playoffs basketball in general, and especially some playoff success. You've been successful everywhere you've been. What's your message to the fans that are hoping that you'll bring that success immediately here to Charlotte?
Yeah, I would just say continue to have support for the Hornets. I think that we are going to be focused on providing a product that's going to be exciting for them to want to continue to get behind. It's going to be fun. It's going to be together. It's going to be competitive, and we're looking forward to getting going.
Charles Lee, I know it's been a busy day, a busy week for you. Welcome home. Welcome to the Queen City, and thanks for joining us here on the Hornets Hivecast.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it.
That does it for this edition of the Hornets Hivecast. Remember, the HHC is available daily wherever you get your podcasts all throughout the NBA season, with game previews every game day, reviews every day after, and in-depth interviews everywhere in between. I'm Sam Farber. It's been a pleasure and a privilege having you along, and we'll talk to you next time right here on the Hornets Hivecast.
Thank you for listening to the Hornets Hivecast, brought to you by Senta, the official eye, ear, nose, and throat care provider of the Charlotte Hornets. For more coverage, visit Hornets.com.